Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please share the video, subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know what you think about Auburn football, the SEC, and the nation, whatever's on your mind. And, of course, your support helps deliver the content and keeps us going. We've got Joe Hunk on the line from the Fallout 740, Montgomery, Alabama. Spring practice for the Auburn Tigers starting March 18th, the 8-8 game on April 13th. So, Joe, I'm guessing after I ask this question that what we need to do is probably just rewind everything you just said, and you can just repeat it all again, because I was going to ask you, hey, we're going to spring practice. Obvious question is, where does this team need to improve? What's going to be all eyes on any particular positional unit? And the offensive line obviously needs to be addressed. Anything else out there?
Well, for Auburn fans, it's all about, who's going to be taking the snaps. And for Auburn, you have a legacy quarterback. Bo Nix has been growing up throughout in this state for many years. His dad was on an amazing Auburn football team. His dad's coached throughout the state of Alabama. I'm actually from North Alabama, and there was a part in time where Patrick Nix was the head coach for Scottsboro High School, and then he moved down and he started coaching that high school he's at now in Pinson Valley. And so with these schools, you start seeing that they've kind of become this factory for certain players, and Auburn has been getting into those when it comes to the recruiting. The thing is Bo Nix, we all knew that this guy was going to go. I mean, there's never going to be a question of that. If there's a player named Sunseri, he's most likely going to Alabama because the entire family is a member of the coaching staff. Like, there's these legacy players. Look at the Humphrey, Bobby Humphrey, Marlon Humphrey. And so with Bo Nix, we knew this was the case. The question is going to be, and even today, there's two things that are still out there. And the question that we've asked many times is, it sounds crazy doing this on the day that we're doing it, is the starting quarterback for Auburn on campus right now? Malzahn loves to go out and get these transfers. Josh Jackson is one we just heard about. He was transferring away from Virginia Tech. There was thoughts that Malzahn wanted him. He ends up going to Maryland. Jalen Hurts was another one that you're like, wait a second, there's no way that an Alabama quarterback is going to go play at Auburn. There was a real conversation. In fact, we did a poll on our show on the Fallout on 740. If you're an Alabama fan, which one would you rather have? Nick Saban step down or Jalen Hurts go lead Auburn to a national championship? Like, it was one of those where you're like, I can't fathom which one I would rather have. And the thing is that, yes, we're still got to go through spring practice. You have Malik Willis. You have Joey Gatewood. You have Bo Nix. You have Cord Sandberg, which is like, seems like he's 42 years old and has 6 kids. Like, you have all of these quarterbacks, but who is it going to be? Or is there a quarterback that may not win out his quarterback battle on his team somewhere else in a Power 5, Group of 5, and Malzahn's able to bring him in during the summer? Those are the questions that we're going to have. You still have to figure out the whole Asa Martin thing. He comes to Auburn. He was 1 year. He was Mr. Football. He transfers away. He's now going to Miami. You need running backs. And, is Cam Martin going to be the guy? Is Boobie Whitlow? Like, those are the questions that you have to get answered. And now you're having to figure out who's going to be your running back. Your wide receivers should be set, minus the loss of Darius Slayton, who is going to the NFL, but's not really projected that well. Don't know why. But there's another hole with one of your deep threats that you think somebody like Anthony Schwartz is going to take over. But just like the offensive line position, you need more guys. You've had a transfer in from Arizona State that's playing the H-back position. J.J. Wilson, I believe is his name. Like, you have those players. How is this all going to mix in with Malzahn that is now 100% taking over the play calling duty?
Hey, Joe, back to the quarterback situation. All things being equal, because we don't have an incumbent in place where the fans can either say, well, he's our guy, or, he's not good enough. We wanted somebody to override him and beat him out this fall. Based on the scouting reports, who the fans like, based on what they've seen, what they've heard, who's kind of the fan favorite that they would love to see win the job?
I think obviously you have two mindsets, because with the Auburn fan base, you've never truly had a freshman quarterback come in and do well. Jeremy Johnson, we thought, was going to be that guy. He came in, he played very well against Arkansas for a first half, going back in 2014 and 2013. He played against, I believe, his FAU, that he had a really good game. So people thought, okay, this is going to be this quarterback that we're going to draw it out, and he's going to be here sophomore, junior, senior year potentially, and he could be our next Jason Campbell. The problem is that Jeremy Johnson never really kind of played out, and that's when we started going into these Nick Marshalls, and then you started getting into your Jarrett Stidhams and those types. The fan base wants a quarterback. They would love for Bo Nix to take over from day one and be the starting quarterback for 3 years, go to the NFL, really represent Auburn, and he was that A.J. McCarron type guy. The problem is Auburn opens up with Oregon in Dallas or Arlington against an Oregon team that has a quarterback that honestly could have been the top pick in this year's NFL draft in Justin Herbert. So now you're going into a very big football game against a football team that's going to be ranked. Do you put Bo Nix behind this offensive line that we've been talking about and risk possibly ruining him like you did Jeremy Johnson? The one that I could really see potentially, depending on how he does in the spring, is Joey Gatewood. Now, this is a quarterback that throughout the season last year, we didn't really hear that many good things about him. What we started hearing about him is he was living the freshman life, just the best way to describe it. He was having fun, doing things that probably when he looks back on it in 3 or 4 years, he can't believe he was doing. And so we were like, this guy's never even going to make it at Auburn. He's going to be transferring out like Sean White. But what we're hearing now is with the new offensive coordinator that's come in, Joey Gatewood's kind of focused a little bit more. Maybe it was because he knew that he wasn't going to be the starter last year and he just was not going to put the effort in, but now he knows that he can be the starter, and so he's starting to put in that effort. Joey Gatewood's getting compared to Cam Newton, which, I mean, everybody's going to be compared to Cam Newton. But Joey Gatewood could be the one because he's took some snaps in the Music City Bowl. He played behind an offensive line, which in the Music City Bowl was very healthy. That could be the guy that we start with on the season and seeing him taking those snaps under center.
You know, Joe, if there was any more time in that Music City Bowl, they could have been given snaps to you and I in that game. We could have hit triple digits maybe.
I wanted them to hit triple digits. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm watching this game, and we have something called the 740 Game Room, which is a video game stream that we do on our Facebook page. We were actually playing that, and I kept having to pause the video game going, can you believe at this score? Look, like, score some more, score again. Like, come on, keep going. Like, you can literally see Auburn could potentially put up 100 points. That's what the offensive line can be when they're healthy. During the season, you start getting into every game where you're going in, you're playing LSU, and then you're playing Mississippi State. Then you've got to play, then you got to go play Ole Miss and then Texas A&M. You're going through these games and your offensive line's getting injured, and that's where the depth comes in. You sit for 30 days. Your linebackers are healthy, but when they're practicing, they're still not giving it to the offensive line as hard, and then the offensive line's been able to get healthier. Then they go into this bowl game, and you look at the offensive line like, where were you guys the last half of the season? This looks like the Washington game. That's what you could see. If you have a healthy offensive line, you put a quarterback like Joey Gatewood behind him, he could potentially win that game. Or if you just seriously just want to roll the dice and it's an even thing, go with Bo Nix and see how it works out.
Well, Joe, it was one of those games where once Auburn got rolling, I thought you should have seen this coming. You should have seen the physical mismatch, the speed mismatch. You should have seen it coming because too many people locked in on that Purdue-Ohio State game, and that was the aberration of the season. And I also was doing the transitive property, and later in bowl season, of course, Iowa beat Mississippi State beat Auburn. And I obviously, if those two teams get on the field 100 times, Purdue doesn't lose that game 63-7 another time. But that I should have seen that coming to some extent, not 63-7, but that Auburn was the much more talented team that should have been able to run them off the field, and they certainly took advantage of their huge mismatches.
The problem with it is that Auburn fans didn't know. Like the whole season, you never knew which team you were going to get. I mean, we're in the middle of basketball season right now, and you talk about Alabama and Auburn basketball, and we were talking about Alabama basketball earlier today. And the question was, okay, well, Alabama's playing at home, so they're going to win. And, oh, well, they're playing on the road, so they're going to lose. And there was always this thought of, well, the Auburn team that we see really plays well away from Jordan-Hare Stadium, something like that, like something that we could put our hat on and say, this was what the patterns are showing with Auburn football is, look, once they get away from the noise, they don't have to deal with the families asking for tickets. They don't have to worry about going to, their girlfriends coming over the night before and hanging out, like all that stuff when they're in a hotel room and they're focused. This football team plays well. Auburn didn't have those patterns. And there were times where you could look at this team and go, how did this team beat one of the best Pac-12 teams, if not the best Pac-12 team last year, and then they lose to Tennessee at home. Like, this doesn't match up. And so for Auburn fans, there were many of them that were going, I don't know what team we're going to get. I mean, we have Jarrett Stidham that we think is a quarterback. I mean, Mel Kiper earlier yesterday said that Jarrett Stidham could be the second round draft pick. When he said that about Jarrett Stidham, we had Auburn fans going, what quarterback is he looking at? Because the one that we saw couldn't do that. He held on to the ball long. Did you watch the Senior Bowl? Jarrett Stidham got chased down from behind and fumbled the football. Like, what is he seeing? And so Auburn fans never knew with this team what they were going to get from a day in and day out basis. So, yeah, and you also throw in the fact that Purdue was playing in that stadium on a Friday afternoon, and then 2 days later, the Indianapolis Colts were coming in, and they were playing the Tennessee Titans. So this could be like a big trip for Purdue/Colts fans, and going into that stadium, like all of this stuff really actually matched up for Purdue wanting to be there, and Auburn fans and Auburn themselves just waiting for the season to be over with. So, yes, talent, 100%. But you look at all the other factors, you seriously, like, if I was a betting person, I would never bet on Auburn to win that game by 10, let alone 53 or whatever they won by.
Yeah, it was only a 3-point spread.
Yeah.
According to Vegas, and those guys usually know what they're doing. I did take Auburn to win, but I got to admit, I thought, okay, this is going to be razor close, but I'm trusting that Auburn talent, but Purdue's going to be fired up, and they played pretty well all year. So, yeah, Auburn's going to win this game, and it's going to be razor close. So I'll take the 3.5 points, and right out the door within a couple minutes, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to get ugly in a hurry. You know, Joe, you made a reference to Justin Herbert, and I am fascinated. Can't wait for this matchup against Oregon, neutral site. And we are going to prime and tease everyone for the next time we have Joe on. Hopefully we can flag him down soon, and we are going to break down the schedule. I want to do it right, not in like 90 seconds. And we will look at the Auburn schedule, which is always brutal in the SEC. Georgia on the other side. And, of course, again, Justin Herbert and Oregon waiting in Dallas. Kind of sounds like a national championship game from years gone by.
2010, it was a national championship game. So it's going to be a fun game. But, again, you just mentioned it, Justin Herbert and offense. And I'm going to say, because you said we're going to do this later, so I'll just hold off. But, yeah.
Joe Hung from the Fallout 740 Montgomery has a whole lot of fun talking Auburn football and the rest of the SEC sports season. I'm sure you're gearing up for basketball, March Madness, talking a little bit baseball maybe at this point.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Auburn played a little while ago, and they actually won 10-2. So we've got that. We've got Auburn basketball that fans are. And, again, you have Auburn basketball fans happy. You have Alabama basketball fans that are ready to pack up Avery Johnson's stuff. What's funny, and people don't like admitting this, Alabama basketball fans are acting a lot like Auburn football fans did during the football season. That's all I'm saying. It's very similar when you look at how they say things.
Okay. You know where to find him. You know, you can always call in and argue. So he's setting himself up for another debate here. Joe, we appreciate you stopping by. It's always a good time. And, yeah, we'll have to attack this schedule very soon.
Not a problem at all, man. You can have me on anytime.